To close this chapter, I propose to offer $200 to the first person who will provide a logical explanation that would justify considering the track in Love as a virtual mock-up. I'm not asking you to prove it, but simply to expose a scenario in which it would be credible to think so. It would, of course, be much better and impressive if you managed to prove it. Here are the rules. Rule number 1. You must first watch my videos on this subject. Rule number 2. You are not allowed to use the argument of magic or superpowers. You have the right to believe that Hans Zimmer came from the planet Krypton, but without proof. You cannot assert it as a fact. Rule number 3. You are not allowed to use the following fallacious argument. But why would he lie? This kind of reasoning has no intellectual value and cannot be used to prove anything. In the same way, you can't conclude that Hans is necessarily telling the truth just because he's a nice guy. Please stop that kind of nonsense. It's embarrassing. Rule number 4. You're not allowed to use the theory of pre-recorded phrases because creating a piece with phrases, although it requires some skill to make it consistent, has nothing to do with programming, meaning shaping the right samples using various MIDI controllers. Moreover, the track in Love is a 10-minute piece in which the string ensemble also sounds very good and does not have the defects and synthy tone that can be heard in the other mock-ups of the same soundtrack. Most people focused on the soloists as if the string ensemble would be easy to reproduce. One thing is certain, the string ensemble in the track in Love surpasses by far that of the other mock-ups. Someone who would have such a large amount of string ensemble phrases, allowing him to compose a 10 minutes consistent piece, should have the necessary phrases to also make the other mock-ups great. This theory of phrases is a dead end. If the track in Love was made of a succession of pre-recorded phrases, Hans' assertion would still be a lie, because claiming to have programmed a track when it is only a succession of phrases is deceitful. Rule number 5. You are not allowed to rely solely on the testimony of Hans' collaborators, because in my experience, anyone working for or with him will always defend him. Therefore, unless you can prove they are unbiased and unaware of the controversy, like Lad McIntosh was, their testimonies could not be taken seriously. Lad McIntosh's answer made sense and matched the official credits, and I used his testimony to support a logical analysis, while a testimony of Hans' collaborator who would claim that the track in Love is a mock-up wouldn't be enough to explain the inconsistencies, so even with an unbiased testimony, you will still have to address the logic issues. So using logic only, you must explain why 2 soloists are credited on a track in which we can clearly hear 2 soloists. You must explain how it would be rewarding for them to be associated with a virtual mock-up. You have to explain why the track in Love is the only so-called mock-up that perfectly reproduces a live recording while all other mock-ups sound fake. You must explain why the samples used by Hans are far from the level of the track in Love, while they match the level of the other mock-ups. You have to keep in mind that Hans claimed he was the one who programmed his own samples using modulation and expression. Good luck.